Hello, book fighters. Today I watched Fight Club movie for the first time straight through ever. I had seen a bunch of clips of it a lot of times. I didn't love it. It's a good movie. I will say that. It's definitely a good movie, and it's a good book, too. But both times I didn't really love it. I think that may have possibly a lot to do with the fact that I already know the twist ending ahead of time. So it's kind of one of those things that doesn't really seem to have much point to it if you already know the ending. I think the movie was a little bit more satisfying despite knowing the ending than the book itself was, which is why I say it was a better film than it was a better film than the movie. Right. It's better as a film than a book. Just the way things are presented in a visual manner, I think, makes it more interesting, even if you do already know the big twist. Whereas the book, the twist makes more sense in a way, but then at the same time, it kind of didn't, because I thought that I can't actually remember much of the book, because it's been a couple weeks since I read it, and my memory functions such as I forget things almost instantly. But from what I remember, the movie explains how Tyler Durden was created and how we didn't know that he was the same person better. So anyway, I forget a lot, so I don't remember this being in the book, but it may have been in the book. I don't have the book anymore because I got it from the library and it had to go back already. So I couldn't look it up either. But in the movie, when it comes out that Tyler Durden and the narrator are the same person, Tyler sits there and explains to the narrator how this happened, and he's talking about how he created a version of himself in his head to be basically himself as he wanted to be. And it got me thinking about the discussion that some of us had. I don't know that I participated in it at all because I was the only one of us who did not read The Great Gatsby, I believe. But that we had involving The Great Gatsby, where do our perceptions of ourselves create who we are? Which I can't remember if I even participated in this discussion or not, and if I did, I have no idea what I said then. But if I were to answer that question now, keep in mind this may be the complete opposite of what I said before. Things can change. But right now, I would say yes and no to that, particularly thinking about it in the context of Fight Club. I'm more inclined to say no. Our perceptions of ourselves do not create who we are. In a way, yes, they do create who we are, because the way we perceive ourselves is kind of huge in the way that we act and the way that we carry ourselves. But at the same time, I think there are other external circumstances that can shape who we are just as strongly. And I think it's kind of highly problematic to say that in this case, where, okay, so the narrator creates this whole other persona who's himself. He essentially develops multiple personality disorder because, by the explanation in there, because he wasn't who he wanted to be, so he made himself, but better, into this whole other person. I think that's kind of a problematic thing to say, because when you put it in a mental illness context like that, then you're basically saying that this person is responsible for their own mental illness, which takes away from it being an actual illness, which I think is a very important thing to remember. And so I would say that who we see ourselves as has a huge effect on who we are. But who we see ourselves as does not necessarily originate from ourselves. In fact, I would argue that it mostly originates from the way that we are treated by others, because through that lens is how we figure out what others think of ourselves, and that shapes how we think of ourselves. whether we're doing it intentionally or not, it has an effect there. So yeah, that's really all I could think of to say, and hopefully we will have some discussion over the next week that I can actually say something in my next video again, because that would be good. So yeah, if you can't think of anything to talk about in your video, take the Great Gatsby discussion and apply it to Fight Club and see where that leads you. We'll see you, hopefully all of you, in the next week. Hopefully beginning with Dan. I will see you on Monday.